I found out my family had invited the person who destroyed my childhood, the same person I'd spent 5 years healing from, to my wedding. And I only discovered it 3 days before I was supposed to walk down the aisle. My name is Sarah, and I'm 28 years old. I'm a graphic designer, I live in Portland, and I've spent the last decade rebuilding myself piece by piece after my family fell apart. This is the story of how my own wedding became the place where I finally had to choose myself, even if it meant standing alone. I'd always been the good daughter, the peacekeeper, the one who mediated arguments, who made excuses for people, who apologized for other people's behavior because someone had to make things okay. That was my role in the family, and honestly, I was exhausted before I even turned 25. My mom and dad divorced when I was 14. My dad's older brother, Uncle Martin, had always been around, at least before everything happened. He was the fun uncle, the one who remembered my birthday, who gave the best hugs, who everyone loved at family gatherings. I adored him as a kid. I genuinely did. When I was 16, that changed. I told my parents what he'd done, nothing that would make headlines, nothing that would land him in prison, but something that shattered me. Something that made me feel like a stranger in my own body. My parents believed me, and there was a huge family explosion. My mom cut him off completely. My dad tried to keep it quiet at first, but eventually he supported my decision too. The rule became clear. Uncle Martin was no longer welcome in our family. My cousins understood. My grandparents understood. It was done. For 12 years, that boundary held. 12 years of healing. Therapy. Learning to trust people again. Learning that what happened wasn't my fault. Building a life where I felt safe. Then I met Jake. Jake was everything I didn't know I was looking for. He was patient and kind and never pushed me to talk about things before I was ready. He listened to my trauma story without trying to fix it, without making it about him. We dated for 3 years, and in that time, he became my safe person. My home. When he proposed, I actually believed in forever. The wedding planning started in January. Small ceremony, about 80 people, just close family, and our closest friends. I dreamed about my wedding since I was a girl, and I was determined to make it perfect. More importantly, I was determined to make it mine. A celebration of survival. A day surrounded by people who loved me unconditionally and who I loved back. My mom was excited to help. She and I had gotten close during my healing journey, and she wanted to be involved. My dad wanted to walk me down the aisle. Everything felt right. Everything felt safe. 3 weeks before the wedding, my mom called me. "We need to talk about the guest list," she said, and something in her voice made my stomach drop immediately. "What about it?" I asked. There was a pause. A long one. "Sweetheart, I know this might be complicated, but your grandmother has been feeling guilty about Uncle Martin. She misses the family connection. She's been really sad that he wasn't at your cousin's wedding last year, and I think we should really consider." I hung up. I actually just hung up. My hands were shaking so hard I could barely put the phone down. I sat in my apartment for 2 hours just staring at the wall, trying to process what I'd just heard. No. Absolutely not. Not in a million years. I called her back. "Mom, no." Hard no. He's not invited. He will never be invited. I don't know what Grandma said, but... Sarah, listen to me. Your grandmother is 78 years old. She doesn't have that many more years with the family. Don't you think maybe... No, I said, and my voice was steady even though I was crying. I think you're going to respect my boundary, and I think you're going to tell Grandma that Uncle Martin is not welcome at my wedding. I think you're going to be very clear about why. And I think you're going to drop this right now. She did drop it. At least, that's what I thought. The week before the wedding, I went to finalize some details with my wedding planner, Amanda. We were going over the seating chart, finalizing the timeline, making sure everything was perfect. I was so happy. So genuinely excited. Amanda looked a little uncomfortable as she flipped through the papers. "So, I've gotten some additional RSVPs that came in late," she said carefully. "Are you expecting Martin and Carol with their 2 kids?" The room started spinning. "What?" I whispered. Amanda's face went pale. "Oh no. Oh my God. You didn't know they were invited?" I literally could not breathe. I felt like I was going to throw up. I grabbed my phone with shaking hands and called my mom. Did you invite Uncle Martin to my wedding? Silence. Honey, just hear me out. Your grandmother really wanted. I don't even remember what I said. I know I was screaming. I know Amanda was looking at me with pity and concern. I know my mom was trying to explain that she'd invited him just in case I changed my mind and that she wasn't going to mention it to me because she thought I'd come around. She didn't think I'd come around about the man who'd hurt me. She thought my boundary was something I could be manipulated out of. You need to uninvite him right now, I said, and my voice was ice. You have two options. Either you call him right now and tell him he's not welcome, or I'm canceling the ceremony. I'm serious, Mom. If he shows up, I will walk away from that wedding, and I will not have married Jake in front of my family. I will elope. I will never forgive you. Choose. She uninvited him. But here's where it gets worse. The next day, I got a text from a number I didn't recognize. It was from Carol, Uncle Martin's wife. It said, I know your mom called to uninvite us, but I wanted you to hear it from me. Martin is devastated. He's been getting help. He's been trying so hard to be a better person. I know what he did hurt you, and I'm not asking you to forget it, but couldn't you find it in your heart to forgive him? He's been suffering from depression, and this rejection is really impacting his mental health. I stared at that text for a full minute, and then I did something I'd never done before. Instead of apologizing, instead of feeling guilty, instead of trying to make her feel better or explaining my trauma to her, I called her. Carol, I need you to understand something, I said, very quietly. My uncle's depression is not my responsibility. His healing is not my responsibility. His path to being a better person does not include my forgiveness or my presence. You're asking me to set myself on fire to keep him warm, and I won't do it. I won't. If he's suffering, I'm glad he's getting help. But he doesn't get to suffer less because I absorb his pain. That's not how this works. Don't contact me again. I hung up, and then I texted my mom, I'm going to need you to tell every single family member that if they have a problem with my boundary, they don't need to come to my wedding. I need to know who actually supports me and who's going to spend my wedding day resenting me for not sacrificing my safety for their comfort. My dad called me 20 minutes later. I love you, he said. I'm sorry. Your mom was wrong. I told her she was wrong. But I'm proud of you for saying no. That took real strength. And I cried. Because my dad got it. He's not perfect, but he got it. Here's the part that actually made me feel less alone. My cousin Emma, Uncle Martin's daughter, texted me. She was 12 when everything happened. She didn't fully understand it at the time, but she understood enough. She wrote, I just wanted to say, I see you. I'm sorry my mom tried to make you feel guilty. I support you 100%. See you at the wedding. Even though she's his daughter, even though it must be weird and painful for her, she chose me. The wedding was beautiful. Jake cried when he saw me. My dad walked me down the aisle and whispered, I'm so proud of you. And I walked down that aisle knowing that I'd chosen myself, that I'd said no, that I didn't need anyone's approval to have boundaries. But the story doesn't end there. About 6 weeks after the wedding, I got a message from my cousin James, Uncle Martin's younger brother. He wrote, I don't know if you've heard, but Martin got fired last month. Apparently, the company got wind that he'd been engaging in inappropriate behavior with an employee 20 years his junior. They did a full investigation. He wasn't prosecuted, but he lost his job. I thought you should know. I know what he did to you, and I'm sorry it took this long for anyone to actually face consequences. I didn't feel satisfied. I didn't feel vindicated. Honestly, I felt sad. Because I realized that he probably would have kept hurting people if nobody had checked him. If nobody had set a boundary. If I'd just smiled and forgiven him so everyone could be comfortable. My boundary didn't destroy him. His choices did. 3 months after that, my mom called me. She was crying. I owe you an apology, she said. A real one. I was so worried about keeping the peace, about keeping the family together, that I didn't even consider what I was asking of you. I was asking you to pretend to be okay with something that hurt you. I was using my own discomfort as an excuse. I'm going to therapy to work on why I do that. I'm sorry. I cried too, because that's not something I expected to hear. That's not something I'd been waiting for. But it meant something. Now it's a year later. My marriage is solid. My boundaries are solid. My family's dynamics have shifted. Some people don't talk to me as much anymore because they're still bitter about the reunion that never happened. My grandmother has made peace with it. My mom has genuinely changed. And I'm surrounded by people who respect me enough to want what I want. The wedding I refused to share became the moment I finally understood that sometimes the most loving thing you can do is say no. That protecting yourself isn't selfish. That your healing matters more than someone else's comfort. I spent 28 years learning that my job was to make everyone else happy. It took me choosing myself at my own wedding to realize that was never actually my job at all. And when I look back at that moment, when I was crying on the phone telling my mom that if Uncle Martin showed up, I would walk away from my own ceremony, I'm not ashamed. I'm proud. Because that's the moment I finally believed I was worth protecting. That's the moment I became whole.